we think of long borders, the US-Canada frontier comes to mind first. Stretching over 8,800 kilometers, it's the longest international border in the world. Russia also takes a prominent place on the map, sharing land boundaries with more countries than any other, 14 in total. These vast stretches of territory are fascinating, but sometimes the most intriguing stories come from the opposite extreme. Borders so short you could walk across them in minutes or even seconds. Today we're diving into the world's shortest international borders, where history, politics, and geography converge in surprisingly tiny places. Let's begin our journey. Number 1. Morocco and Spain, more than just the Strait of Gibraltar. When you hear Morocco and Spain, you probably imagine the Strait of Gibraltar, the narrow blue ribbon separating Europe from Africa. But the two countries actually share land borders in North Africa, and they're some of the shortest and most unusual in the world. Spain controls two small autonomous cities on the Moroccan coast, Ceuta and Melilla. Ceuta's border with Morocco measures about 8 kilometers, and Mellilla's is around 10.7 kilometers. These enclaves date back centuries, remnants of the time when Spain was expanding its influence along the Mediterranean trade routes. Today, these borders are more than just lines on a map. They're heavily fortified crossings between two continents. Tall double fences, watchtowers, and patrols are a stark reminder of their modern role as entry points to the European Union. Thousands of migrants attempt to cross here each year, and the geography means these short borders carry enormous political and humanitarian weight. Then there's Peñón de Vélez de la Gomera, a tiny rocky peninsula that is technically part of Spain. It used to be an island, but in 1934 a fierce storm deposited a narrow sandy strip connecting it to Morocco. This sandy neck is just 85 meters long, short enough to cover in under a minute on foot. A small wall and military presence mark the divide, making it one of the shortest international borders on Earth. Number 2. Andorra, sandwiched in the Pyrenees. High in the Pyrenees Mountains lies Andorra, a tiny principality that seems like it was plucked out of a storybook. With an area of just 468 square kilometers, it is bordered by France to the north and Spain to the south. Andorra's 57-kilometer border with France and 63-kilometer border with Spain twist and turn through rugged valleys and snow-capped peaks. In some places, ski slopes straddle the frontier. You could ski down one side in Andorra and find yourself in France without realizing you've crossed a national boundary. The country's position has given it a unique culture. Catalan is the official language, but French and Spanish are widely spoken, and the architecture blends mountain stone houses with touches of both neighboring countries. Historically, Andorra was jointly ruled by the French president and the Spanish Bishop of Urgell, a political arrangement that still exists in a ceremonial form today. Number 3. Zambia and Botswana, the world's shortest true border. In the far south of Africa, where the Zambezi River curves and glitters under the sun, lies the Kazungula Crossing, a spot famous among geography lovers for its incredibly short border between Zambia and Botswana. For decades, people believed this was a four-country meeting point, with Zimbabwe and Namibia also touching here, but modern surveys proved otherwise. Zambia and Botswana share just 157 meters of land border, making it one of the shortest undisputed international boundaries in the world. For years, this tiny link was only accessible via a ferry that carried vehicles and passengers across the river. In 2021, the modern Kazungula Bridge opened, transforming the crossing into a major trade artery. Trucks carrying goods from ports in Namibia and South Africa now use this bridge to connect more efficiently with Zambia and beyond. The scenery here is beautiful. Hippos sometimes bask in the water, and the bridge itself offers sweeping views of the surrounding countries. Standing in the middle, you can look upstream and see Zimbabwe just a short distance away, and Namibia on the opposite bank, creating a unique vantage point where four nations are all in sight at once. Number 4. Vatican City in Italy, the tiniest of them all. If there were a crown for the shortest land border, Vatican City would wear it proudly. This microstate, entirely enclosed by Rome, has a border of just 3.4 kilometers. You could walk its entire perimeter in less than an hour, if you weren't constantly stopping to take in the view. The border is mostly made up of Renaissance-era walls, punctuated by famous points like St. Peter's Square, where the division between Italy and the Vatican is marked only by a change in paving stones. Despite the lack of gates, security is strict, with the colorful Swiss Guard and Vatican police on constant watch. Vatican City is the headquarters of the Roman Catholic Church and home to the Pope, but it's also a cultural treasure chest. Crossing into the Vatican feels like entering a different country, even though you're still in the middle of Rome. For millions of visitors each year, this is one of the easiest border crossings they'll ever make. Number 5. Saudi Arabia and Bahrain, the border on Middle Island. When most people think of the Saudi-Bahrain connection, they picture the King Fahd Causeway, an impressive 25-kilometer link of bridges and artificial islands stretching across the turquoise waters of the Persian Gulf. But tucked halfway along this engineering marvel lies one of the shortest international borders you'll ever see, on Middle Island. Middle Island isn't natural. It was purpose-built to house customs and immigration facilities for both nations. The actual land border here is just a short stretch inside a single building complex. You could walk from the Saudi side to the Bahraini side in under a minute, assuming you've cleared all the necessary paperwork. This tiny boundary is also symbolic. Opened in 1986, the causeway and its micro-border represent a significant boost in regional trade and tourism. It turned what was once a journey by ferry or plane into a simple drive that thousands make every week. Standing on Middle Island, you can see both countries at once, hear the mix of Arabic dialects, and feel the blending of Gulf cultures in the cafes and duty-free shops. Number 6. San Marino in Italy, a medieval enclave. Nestled in the rolling hills of central Italy, San Marino is one of the oldest republics in the world, claiming a founding date of 301 AD. Its 39-kilometer border with Italy wraps around mountaintop fortresses, vineyards, and medieval streets. San Marino's survival as an independent state is a remarkable story. It managed to avoid absorption into Italy during the unification of the 19th century, thanks in part to its neutrality and diplomatic skill. Today, the absence of border controls makes crossing seamless, but the difference in atmosphere is instant. The old town, perched on Monte Titano, offers panoramic views that stretch across Italian countryside to the Adriatic Sea. The country even has its own coins, stamps, and ceremonial guards, giving visitors a tangible reminder that they've crossed into one of Europe's smallest nations. Number 7. Canada and Denmark, the Hans Island handshake. In the icy waters of the Nares Strait, between Canada's Ellesmere Island and Greenland, a territory of Denmark, lies a small, barren rock called Hans Island. For decades, it was the site of one of the friendliest territorial disputes in history, known affectionately as the Whiskey War. Since the 1970s, Canadian and Danish military patrols would take turns visiting the island, removing the other country's flag, planting their own, and leaving a bottle of national liquor, Canadian whiskey or Danish schnapps, along with a note of greeting. There were no troops, no hostilities, just a running joke between allies. In 2022, after years of lighthearted diplomacy, the two nations officially agreed to split Hans Island down the middle. The new border is about 1.28 kilometers long, making it one of the shortest land borders in the world, and the only land boundary between Canada and Europe. Today, the island is still uninhabited, home only to Arctic moss, seabirds, and the occasional curious polar bear. But the settlement is an example of how international disputes, even over territory, can be resolved with humor and cooperation. Standing on Hans Island now, you can literally take a few dozen steps and cross from North America to Europe, a chilly but unforgettable walk. And that's our journey across some of the world's shortest borders, tiny lines that hold big stories. If you enjoyed this tour of miniature frontiers, don't forget to like the video, drop a comment with your favorite border fact, and subscribe for more geography adventures. Thanks for watching. See you next time.